Hi guys. So on this session we're going to be talking about personal spiritual practice. You are deconstructing your beliefs. Everything's changing. Your beliefs are changing. Your faith is changing. Maybe you're losing your faith. Maybe you no longer believe. Maybe you're an agnostic. Maybe you think you're becoming an atheist. Maybe you are an atheist. You know what? Totally cool. That's fine. If it's what you want to be, then be it. You are free. You're free to be who you are, to be authentic. And I think everybody has their own spiritual practice. Now, by spiritual, I don't mean, necessarily theistic, that it's to do with God or spirit or anything like that. For some people, spiritual can just mean having an inner life, a rich inner life, okay? A psychic life, an inwardly healthy life, okay? But for some it could mean theistic or spiritual, divine or whatever you want to call it. I remember way back when I was going to seminary, I was getting my diploma of ministry from Presbyterian College at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. That was a mouthful. One of my instructors put us through a battery of tests. So one of them was a personality test. That was really cool. That's when I discovered I was an INFP. It was a revelation to read all about myself, totally validating. Yeah, I'm weird. There's only like 1% of us on the planet, but I felt totally validated and okay, and this is who I am. But after he got to know me better, he asked us what our spiritual practice was, and I told him what I was kind of doing at the time and everything. And he said, yeah, that's good. He said, I think I see you sort of like more like a monk, kind of a hermit kind of thing, where you meditate. Maybe you have incense, and maybe you have a cushion that you sit cross-legged on the floor and you meditate. And I see contemplation. I see journal writing too. And, I think what would be really good for you, and maybe you have a little ceremony where you have candles and, maybe being out in nature too. And the funny thing is, all those things totally resonate. That's my spirituality. I'm going to talk more specifically of what my spirituality looks like. But he went around the room, and for some it was like, you need to do this and that. This is exactly what would suit you. And for, he wasn't, reading their minds or anything. It's just according to the personality, according to what he knew of us, he sort of prescribed what he thought would be healthy spiritual practice. But again, trust your gut. You know what? If I'm not into burning incense and lighting candles and sitting cross-legged on the floor, I'm not going to do it. I want to do what's compatible with me, organic for me. Okay? Let your spirituality be organic. Let it be David-ish. Let it be Suze-ish. Let it be Diane-ish. Whatever. Let it be your spirituality. Unique. Like I said, nobody's holding a gun to your head. You can be who you want to be. Be yourself. Be yourself. Express your own spirituality. And it could go totally against the grain of what you were raised on. I remember years back I went to a conference for pastors, and the speaker was Eugene Peterson. Maybe you know of him. But he wrote the message, but he wrote a bunch of other books too that are just great, The Angles of Ministry and so on. And I just followed him, everything he did. And so I went to this conference out in Vancouver. I remember him telling people that he counseled a young woman who was coming to see him. She was so absorbed in the Bible, so distraught over not being able to measure up to her, interpretation of the Bible, and she was just stressed out spiritually. He told her, stop reading the Bible don't read the Bible for 1 year. I remember there was sort of a gasp in the room. A pastor telling one of his members to stop reading the Bible? How dare you? And I thought, good for him. That's really cool. Because it was actually damaging her. It was preventing her from being herself. It was actually limiting herself. It was destroying her. It was stressing her out. So trust your gut. What is it you want? Stop reading the Bible. Maybe stop feeling the need to pray every day. Paul said, even Paul, I'm going to mention Paul, he said, pray without ceasing. Well, obviously then that means not being on your knees or wherever you pray with your hands folded, your eyes closed and saying words. Prayer must be something else. And I've discovered it is. And so, find out what works for you, what's good for you. What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? Do you enjoy being on a busy street watching people? Or do you like being in the woods all by yourself, in the darkness with a full moon? Whatever. Where do you feel most peaceful? What has your research revealed? What have you learned that resonates with you? Say, yeah, I believe that. That's true. That's me. That works for me. When I read some years ago, research discovered that monks who meditate are actually the happiest people on the planet. Monks who meditate. People who meditate are the happiest people on earth. So, you know what? I already meditate. I don't always sit cross-legged on the floor. Sometimes I just sit on my couch and look out the window. I can see the river from where I am, and it's beautiful. I just sit and look. Nothing's going through my mind. I just sit and look and meditate that way. And it brings a lot of joy. Do you have a space or a place where you feel most in touch with yourself and most in touch with nature? Most in touch with reality and what is? What is that place? You need to get over your guilt, get over your shame and the weirdness of not being in church. That used to be your spiritual practice, and read the Bible, pray every day, whatever your spiritual practice was. Now you can shape it for yourself. Nobody's dictating to you. Nobody's telling you how to do it. You can determine your own spiritual practice. And make sure others respect that. Set boundaries. Just say to your husband or wife or kids or, put your dog in the kennel, whatever, just say, I need this half hour to myself, or I'm going for a walk. Take the dog. No, I'm not taking the dog. I want to be by myself. I'm taking my journal, whatever. Another lovely thing to do for me is to walk just across the road down to the river and sit there and just, enjoy the sounds, the smells. I love to run. I don't wear my iPod, my earbuds, or nothing. I don't carry anything with me, no water. I just go for a run and just enjoy the sights and the smells and the sounds and the feeling of the wind on my skin. And I don't think about anything. It's just, how some Buddhists say, empty your mind. Well, that's how my mind is emptiest. Also painting or drawing. For me, I can sit down and with a piece of paper in front of me with a pencil or pen or paint and just start painting. You know what? My mind is empty. Nothing. It's absolutely peaceful, completely tranquil, completely still. That's where I'm most me, unentangled from thought and feelings. I'm just drawing. It's like the Buddhists say, just sit, just breathe. That's all I'm doing. I'm just sitting, breathing, drawing, nothing going through. It's an amazing time. Maybe for you it is meditation. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's walking in the woods. Maybe it's running or walking. Or maybe it's reading books that are over your head, in the deep end. Or maybe it's looking out over the river. Or maybe it's going for a drive. Or maybe it's people watching. Or maybe, whatever. You can decide. Just decide to yourself, okay, if you're not going to church, if you're not reading your Bible and praying every day, if you're not doing the prescribed Christian, normal, devout life, what are you going to do? Maybe nothing. Maybe you're going to say, I'm going to take a vacation from spiritual practice for a while. Good. You're totally free to do that. Or you might say, you know what, I'm just going to maybe meditate for 5 minutes a day. Great way to start. You'll discover how difficult 5 minutes of trying to empty your mind is. Anyway, that's the whole point. Personal spiritual practice, totally up to you. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition. You can set the agenda. You're free. Okay, we'll see you in the next section where we're going to talk about riding out the storm.